in Warsaw at the Forum, but throughout Europe, a member of the German Bundestag. Please welcome Norbert Röttgen. Right next to him, I'm delighted to be sharing once again the stage with the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Latvia, Baiba Braže, ladies and gentlemen, is here. Also delighted to once again see and share the stage with the former president of Lithuania, Dalia, Grybauskaitė, ladies and gentlemen, is here. And last but certainly not least, he's the CEO of MBDA, a leading company in the defense industry, in fact, the European leader in missile and complex weapons system. Eric Béranger, ladies and gentlemen, is here. Foreign Minister, let's begin by asking the central question that we are all here to address and answer. How would you characterize the current moment in European security? Is European security as we knew it truly over?
In short, no. Do I need to say more?
Maybe 60 seconds, yes. That's this was intended as a fire rapid 60 seconds reply round.
I think the Euro-Atlantic security is the answer, because the theaters are so closely connected, and Euro-Atlantic in the wider sense is not only the US but also Canada, and actually, you know, some of the South American elements in terms of some of the issues we were just discussing with our American colleagues and also European colleagues, such as organized crime, drug trafficking, and so on and so forth. You know, the interconnectivity of those groups with European groups, but also Indo-Pacific. When we talk with our Indo-Pacific colleagues, the four partners of NATO, the issues they face in the subconventional warfare is the same. So when you look at the warfare concepts, doctrines of Russia, it's one, it's subconventional, conventional, and ideally they get their political objectives via subconventional warfare, which is influence, corruption, and so on and so forth. Cyber, hack and leak, you know, anything you want. But conventional means are not beyond imagination. And there you can see whether it's Skripal or whether it's war in Ukraine, depending on the issues. So for the Indo-Pacific colleagues, it's actually very useful to learn about it, because what they face in their information environment, what they face in their cybersphere, are also massive cyber attacks. The same with North Korea. They have attacked European countries with regard to cyber and other activities, but also the Indo-Pacific. And of course you saw North Koreans being involved in the war in Ukraine. So the European security is not over, as you asked, because Euro-Atlantic security and Indo-Pacific security are closely related. And what we are doing, we are actually adjusting. And I don't know if you noticed, but we also have to take into account that Russia and China really are working closer together than ever, and on various issues. And the recent that was obtained, information that was obtained via hacktivists on Russia deciding to supply China's airborne battalion, full airborne battalion with equipment, training and everything, is quite something. So there's clearly issues that are changing, but where the answers of close transatlantic relationship with the US-Canada and work within NATO remains as sufficient as ever and as relevant as ever.
So a much more elaborate answer, but essentially the answer is no, European security as we know it is not over yet, says Baiba Braže, the Foreign Minister of Latvia. Norbert Röttgen, where do you stand on this? Would you agree with the Foreign Minister?
Yes, I regularly agree with the Foreign Minister. And perhaps would make only a few remarks. I would say so security is what states are for. If you reduce the very essence, the ratio, the rationality of statehood, then it is to protect the citizens. So security is the very core of why states exist. So security can't be over as long states exist. What we are seeing, of course, is that European security is threatened, is attacked in an unprecedented way. So for the first time after 1945, we have a land war, a big land war that we haven't seen in this, that we have not seen in this century, and that we saw in the first part of the last centuries with 2 world wars, and everybody thought Europeans have learned the lessons, and I would say more or less nobody did expect the return of land war from past centuries. We thought this is history, this is past, and now history has come back to us. And the second thing that has fundamentally changed is that in previous times, I would say since America decided to enter World War II, America had taken the decision that European security is not only a European interest, but at the same time it is a fundamental, genuine American interest. So if there is war in Europe, this is not good for America. And I would say this has changed. This is not the assessment of the current government. This may change again, but what has changed now is that European security has to be provided differently in comparison to decades before. It's now the Europeans that have to care for themselves. This is fundamentally new. We are late, we are catching up, but so security, of course, remains vital. It is threatened as never before, and we have to do it on our own for the first time.
This is not the end of the old security of security as we know it, says Norbert Röttgen, very much agreeing by tradition with the Latvian foreign minister. Madam President, how would you, as somebody who's been at the forefront of European political discourse, how would you characterize the current moment that we find ourselves in Europe, particularly through the lenses of security?
European security cannot be separated from geopolitical security around the world, and we only part of it, seeing that traditional geopolitical security providers or provider main is withdrawing from supplying security around the world. The gap of filling in starting to be very visible, and this impacts directly European situation. And here now we can even talk about, do we have any more G20, G7, or maybe we're going towards G0? And that's exactly the problem, because we tried to avoid seeing the dangers which are coming not even from rivals, as Putin, for example, but from our partners and main partner. And this implies that we need to not only speed up, but differently to see our obligations, as it was mentioned, in front of our people, in front of our providing our security. So from this point of view, the security philosophy, the security technology, the security instruments are in revolt. And practically we are in deep revolutionary stage. And we do not know how fast we will be able to say that we are ready and capable to secure ourselves. We, in the process, it is dangerous and partly very serious. We are late, as we all say, yes, but Putin do not give us time to catch up. He didn't give time for Ukraine. He didn't give time after 2008, after 2014, and now after 2020 and 22. And we still are waiting and thinking that we do have time. And I think that businesses are even better feel and know how late we are and how much we lost time. But this responsibility is on our own. We cannot say that we are throwing out one of our partners from our unity. No, opposite. We need to keep all inside united. United we're strong, separately we fall. And that's what we know from Second World War, and this stays the same now. And responsibility is now on our shoulders. We need to realize how serious it is, but how much, how fast we will do it depends only on us.
Very much pleading for the unity of Europe. Divided we fall, something that we've heard here also this morning when the Ukrainian president obviously made his remarks live via Kiev. Thank you so much, Madam President, for your first assessments. And Eric Béranger, when we talk about capability of readiness, this is where you come into play, of course, as Europe's leader in missile and complex weapons system. Would be very much interested to hear your take as far as the current moment that we find ourselves in European security at the moment.
Well, I think that we are at a crossroads, clearly at a crossroads as Europeans. Suddenly, force matters again. This is the first time for many, many years that we Europeans or imposed a conflict. It's not something that we choose. Force, again, is at the forefront. And at the same time, there was an allusion to the behavior of the United States, of our usual and strong ally. We still are strong ally, but we all realize that we cannot only rely on this ally, we have also to rely on ourselves. And the good news is that we have all the competences we need in Europe. We have the technology that we need. We have the scientific assets that we need. We have the industrial competences that we need. So it is simply, quote unquote, a matter of indeed putting our acts together and really playing collectively.
Do you see that Europe is getting its act together?
Today it's still difficult. There is a lot of progress. Look at what is happening at the European Commission level. Simply 20 years ago, if I had been told there would be a commissioner in charge of defense and there would be real defense talks between the members of the European Union, I would have stared at you thinking that you were crazy. Today it is happening. It's in certain instances too slow, but it is happening. But in any case, this is our only chance. What is at stake today is the ability of each of our countries, and more broadly Europe, to exist in 10 years from now, to have a voice, to have the choice to live by our values. This is what is at stake. And there's no way, I totally agree, there is absolutely no way that any of our nations does it alone. We have all what we need collectively, but alone, each of the nations are at best a mid-power, and we have to work together. It is feasible. MBDA is a living proof that it is feasible, even on very sovereign topics. In MBDA, we touch, for instance, in France, the nuclear deterrence. You cannot think about anything more sovereign than this. But nevertheless, we are a true cooperation between our anchor nations. And we need to develop this throughout Europe. I think
that we are all very much in agreement with what you said. We need to be faster, be quicker here. But I'm also hearing some veiled, not necessarily criticism, but concern that we may not be moving fast enough at the scale that we in Europe have to. Foreign Minister, is Europe moving? You are meeting, of course, with your counterparts. You're traveling all across the European continent. You're speaking to them. Is Europe moving fast enough to rebuild its defense industrial base and readiness, or are we still too slow? Will we be ready if and when conflict spreads?
I think we are too slow, and I think that message, that peace dividend of the 90s is finished, and we have to go back to certainly believing in our strength and doing what we need to do for our own defense. That message is seeping through too slow in some quarters. I mean, Germany is great, and we are so grateful to our Polish hosts for leading the way. The Baltic states Of course, we are doing what we need to do. We'll be at 5% already next year. But it's not only about 5%, it's actual capabilities. That's what you were talking about. And that's what we all need, that we need that not only state-of-the-art equipment that is very difficult and very hard and long to produce, but we need also the cheap mass production. We need that autonomy and scalability of the cheap drones, the intercepted drones, the first-person view drones, and so on and so forth, to be able to project force. There's a whole, stuff that is needed, not only for countries on the border with Russia, not only Norway, Finland, and the Baltics, and Poland, and so on and so forth, but also we saw deeper in the challenges that are presented in the airspace of countries in the middle of Europe are there. And that's not going to change. It's going to stay there. So it is too slow. It is too slow, indeed.
Yeah. Norbert Röttgen, interestingly enough, when the foreign minister praised Germany, I detected some skepticism on your part.
Yeah, but on the one side, yes, on the other side, no, I would say. So what Germany really did, and which is really means having overcome a great obstacle, was to abandon the debt brake. So this was overcoming a doctrine of fiscal prudence and so on. And I'm a member of the CDU, and
you are still fiscally prudent when I look at the debt percentage and everything.
Yeah. So, and the result of our debt brake is that today Germany is the only among the large European economies that has fiscal leeway. So this is the result of having had the debt brake that we can spend today, but we have decided to do it. So this is where I agree and with what the foreign minister said. On the other side, spending money is not the same as gaining security. So we are spending a lot of money. We are going to do that. So the fiscal budget of 26 will be of 108 billion euros spending for security, and we are for defense, and we are approaching 150 billion in 29. So there is a clear spending plan for defense in a way unprecedented in total numbers. On the other side, what I see at the same time is that we do not have the necessary industrial base. We do not have the scaling that is needed in order to effectively and efficiently spending the money. So even our fiscal resources are not endless. So we have to do it in an efficient, responsible way. And by not creating at the same time when we have abandoned this brake, and by not creating a European size and structure of our industrial base, is still an obstacle in making the best of our spending, and there we have to do additional work. Of course, it can't be done only by Germany. It has to be done among the big European players who have a major industrial base, major defense industries, and they have to overcome both national and company-wise egotism in order to make Europe really secure and able to defend on the basis of own industrial capabilities.
So still some room for maneuver left for Germany. 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Just 10 seconds. And let's not forget that we have a defense industry powerhouse called Ukraine, which is producing everything. So connecting with all that is something that we have to do at the base already.
Madam President, on this very stage this morning, the German defense minister, Boris Pistorius, said NATO has to become more European by necessity, obviously alluding to the fact that US isolationism may be a factor in the long run. In your opinion, is Europe, or how well is Europe prepared for a future where US engagement may no longer be guaranteed?
I saw during my 10 years in office the arrogancy of superiority of NATO. Then we thought that we were superior. We have the best equipment, the best military capabilities. And then we receive the drones from paper practically and trying to shoot them with the planes of 100 million costs. That's a mismatch of how we evaluate ourselves, and it is mismatch how we see and evaluate real situation, where we're not able to learn after 3.5 years of the war in Ukraine what the warfare looks like in 21st century as a mixture between 20th and 21st one, and we still thought that we are superior. And this came mainly from our partner, largest one. And we have been dictated to buy equipment, to invest to very costly equipment, which was mainly used in the exercises in the third world for nobody knows what kind of purposes. So this still takes place. The reaction to the drone attacks in our countries shows that we are at all not ready to adequately react. That means not only late, but even conceptually we are not yet in place, where we're not able to learn from Ukrainians. Ukrainians are showing, inviting, please come. They're inviting already all 3 years, come and learn. So yes, Minister, right. Today in Europe, the strongest, most experienced army is Ukrainian one. Not German, not British, not even Turkish, but Ukrainian one. And we still trying to ignore the reality. And then we're talking about a huge amount of billions in Europe. Procurement, discussions, what to buy, what to produce. And again, we're talking about very expensive equipment, which maybe will be good for demonstration of deterrence, but not to fight on the ground. The problem is that Putin was not deterred, neither in Ukraine, neither he's not deterred by Europe, and even by United States. That means, for us, now priority is not deterrence, but defense. Defense, and that's a huge and different situation we are in now.
Eric Béranger, listening to Madam President, I'm detecting, and rightfully so perhaps, some hesitation and skepticism that Europe at this moment is prepared for a future where the US may no longer be involved as much as the Europeans might desire. But of course, the question, is this the moment for strategic autonomy, always comes up, particularly at a forum like this. The responsibility on European companies such as yours then grows even greater. You feel that responsibility. Are you ready and willing and capable to step up here?
I can tell you I feel the responsibility, yes. And yes, we, not only MBDA, but the European industry is stepping us. First, a few comments on what was said. First, I totally agree that there is a lot that we can, that we do, but that we must learn from what is happening in Ukraine. This is absolutely true and fundamental. One of the and part of the things that we need to learn from it, that we need to take from it, is speed, is agility, is the fact that mass matters as well. That unfortunately it's not mass or sophistication, but unfortunately it's both. When you want to intercept a cruise missile arriving very fast, it's not looking like a drone, and you need something sophisticated to intercept it. When you need to intercept a very light drone, then it's a different matter. I totally agree. So there's a lot to learn. But beyond the money itself, as I was saying before, we have all what we need in Europe, I think. It's really a matter of putting our acts together. I will not draw a full program right here, but maybe some few hints. First, let's not forget also about the humans, the human resource. You can throw a lot of money if you do not teach your people and get the people that you need or automate or whatever, you will still be stuck. Second, let's not forget as well that this industrial base, the defense industrial base, is in fact relying a lot on dual players who are playing both in the defense world and in the commercial world. And this is where the speed of putting or acts together at the governmental level is so important, because when myself, I'm going to a supplier who is doing both commercial and defense, I usually offer him a pretty small amount of activity, okay? This small player is a small player by definition, so he doesn't have a lot of money. If he has €1 to invest, and he has to select between the commercial side and the defense side, how is he going to decide? He's going to decide on the basis of where does he have the more trust about the future, more visibility. And this is where having a very consistent attitude across the various governments for those defense matters and turning this amount of money into actions which will be sustained over time is extremely important, because this is what is going to encourage the small and medium enterprise to invest on the defense side, because they will not simply follow me because I tell them, go there. So this is a little bit a different aspect, but I think we should not forget it either.
Yeah, for certain, capital money is essential, goes without saying, but at the same time, the political will and the human push, if you will, the citizens is vitally. Speaking of citizens, we have approximately 10 minutes left. Might be a good time to bring in some questions here from the audience. I know we have microphones throughout the room. So where are the microphones? Can I see the microphones? Right there. So can we have this gentleman here in the first row? He raised his hand.
Women, don't forget.
Yes, of course. The foreign minister is saying I also should pick women. Of course, that goes without saying. Let's start with this gentleman and then move along, please.
Thank you very much. Maximilian Hoffmann. I am president at the Foreign Council on Economic Relations. Mr. Braje, and also to you, Mr. Röttgen. How can we improve the outcome of French-German cooperation? I think last week FCAS was, I think, not a good sign. I'm really looking, concerned to the ESA Ministers' Council. And to you, Mr. Röttgen, maybe a second question, if I may. You are also part of the German-French Assembly. So what's about the Weimar Triangle, so Weimar Dreieck? Thank you.
Let's collect a couple of questions and then throw it back to the panel. Yes, right there, please. And I'm also not trying to neglect this side here. Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much for this discussion. My name is Katerina. I live in Kyiv, in Ukraine, and feel the effect of drones attack each and every night in Kyiv. So we, as Ukrainian industry, we are ready to maximize our production capacities, also in the territory of European Union. So my question will be to Mr. Eric, whether MBDA is ready to cooperate with Ukrainian drone industry, and what is the condition of this cooperation, like whether your corporation is ready to provide money, funding, or industrial base in different countries. Thank you.
Let's take a couple more questions. Yeah, we have this lady here in the... Both of you, yes. I will give you both the floor so that the foreign minister is satisfied. And
Lesia Robec, Ukraine, former member of Parliament. First of all, thank you so much. This is the most honest panel ever. Thanks to President Grybauskaitė and Minister Braže. You are giving the right recipe, diagnosed the situation. My question goes to the following. You've diagnosed with the situation that you cannot shoot something which costs thousands of dollars with something that costs hundreds of millions. So when any NATO country will be ready to shoot down 600 drones, as just my colleague from Kyiv mentioned, when is this readiness, and how about you take us as allies, because we not only know how to do things, but we are able to produce and change the technology on a fortnight.
Thank you. Can you pass on the mic to the person right in front of you? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, dear speakers, and thank you for supporting ladies. This is really important in international security as well. My name is Victoria Kowalczyk, and I'm also Ukrainian. And for me, it's crucial when the war started, actually our population was affected, and all they are, with mental health issues, and we're going to see that in a long-term perspective. How do the countries ensure that their population actually know how to react, know how to act in these accidents, air raid alerts, power cuts, and do the right things and not create panic? Thank you.
Thank you. Foreign Minister, as the last person, shall we take this gentleman here in the first row? Yes, you have permission.
Thank you so much, Foreign Minister. I actually wanted to touch upon issues you start with. So basically, you started with how the problems with transatlantic and Indo-Pacific are connected. And well, we're talking about strategic independence from the US, because US is putting more efforts into Indo-Pacific, and we are hearing from senior advisor in the Pentagon, Mr. Colby, to saying that they should exclusively take care of Pacific region instead of Europe. So my question for you basically is, what is our, as European, best argument for this Republican administration, but possibly future even democratic one, why Europe is in this conundrum between China and US, an important ally, and why our security against Russia is important in that context? Because we are still, whilst we are in Europe, still cooperating heavily with China, with energy security, with consumer goods, and a lot of other things which we are really connected with China, and that's a problem for them.
Thank you so much. Let me throw it back to the panel here. Being very mindful of the time, I'd ask you to be respectfully very brief in your replies. Foreign Minister, please go ahead.
I'll be brief on the US. I mean, we have taken for granted that the US is the biggest consumer for European goods, and not only, also globally, whether it's Japan or anything else, and security provider. So they want to change certain aspects of that. So I think the European Commission took the absolutely right approach, eliminating tensions early, trying to get the trade deal early. Yes, it's changing what we had before, but if we understand the US logic, it actually then makes sense what the Commission did, so we fully supported them. And that gives opportunity also for the EU to go for other trade deals, because the other partners in the world also want to continue trading. So there is Mercosur deal, which we fully support. The negotiations with Indonesia finally is finished after 9 years, and so on and so forth. So there's a whole spectrum of new possibilities. Australia is going well. So we have to understand also the logic on the other side of the ocean. And if you do that, then eliminating unnecessary tensions is the first, going for common objectives in terms of security, which is both in transatlantic terms, but also with regard to understanding the Indo-Pacific reality, but also the Middle East. All those theaters are connected. They are connected very directly. You saw what happened in Iran, and where the US used what capabilities and how. So that's why when we speak to the US friends and partners, our message is pretty straightforward. We understand your objectives. We invest in our defense and security and partnership. What you have in Europe, actually, in terms of posture, in terms of capabilities, benefits you. Our forces exercise together, gain experience, what you wouldn't be able to get anywhere. And supporting Ukraine is in all our interests, because very clearly what is in Russia's mind is to weaken US, to weaken NATO, to weaken US and allies' influence in the world. That is the main Russian objective. It's not to benefit the US or anything. So therefore, actually, those conversations are going all right in our view. And for the mental readiness, I think we have to be open with our societies. We have to be really out there talking to all the different groups that we have. It's very decentralized information environment. And it's possible to do that. We saw Moldova's election outcome as a big success, actually, that you can go out there and be engaged and be convincing that there is a common future for the country and to prepare for various scenarios. So there is no other way.
Norbert Röttgen, Madam President, Eric Boulanger, I want to give you all 60 seconds. I know it's not a lot of time considering the amount of questions we've had, but please come in.
No, it's enough. I just wanted to say that, regarding the Weimar Triangle, I'm a strong supporter of this format to closely work together. I'm a supporter of the emergence of Europe becoming a foreign and security actor to serve our own interests, and bringing different countries together with different traditions, geographies, makes us stronger. One word to the United States: I'm convinced that we are mutually indispensable partners, and the stronger the Europeans are getting, the stronger gets this argument.
Thank you so much, Madam President.
Okay, on drone wall or anti-drone wall, at least Commission hopes to start and finalize this project in a year time, but I'm sure that it will be not so simple because I was Commissioner and I know how bureaucracy works. If you want to have fast, go direct state to state, and we're doing this. We're building in Ukraine, and Ukrainians are building on our territory. In Poland, Baltic states, Nordics are engaged. We're building drone factories, and we're building together and learning from each other's experience. It's not about the drone only, it's about anti-drone technologies. Monies are available, but the speed and procedures are not yet. I hope that in a year time we will be different, but I wish we will be doing together with Ukraine a lot faster than a year.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Eric, you're going to get the last remaining 60 seconds.
So I have -5 seconds, I see. So I would like to first, because there was, irrespective of the answers, there was a mention of what it means for the Ukrainian people, all what is happening now. And I would like to say, at least for one, how much I am impressed by the resilience of the Ukrainian people, and how much I think we should all pay tribute to this resilience. This being said, very shortly, SCAF. On the MBDA side, we are only on something called Pillar 3 of so one portion, the so-called remote carriers for SCAF, and this pillar is working extremely well. And for the other pillars, I don't feel legitimate to comment, to put it softly.
Right.
On cooperation with Ukraine, yes, we are not only ready, but as MBDA, but we are exploring potential avenues. I will not say everything, but among the things that I can say, two things. We have an office in Kiev. And there are some products that we are developing today where we are also considering potential production with Ukraine partners. The topic is to identify the right partners and then to strike the agreements. And I think this is it for now.
Well, it has to be for now. Unfortunately, I think we could have gone on for much, much longer in this very vital, crucial and timely debate. Europe's the end of old security and what comes next. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, and it's become abundantly clear throughout the past 40 minutes, European security is being redefined in real time, under pressure and with urgency. Please join me in thanking our panelists for their candor and insight. Thank you so much.